The Tolan are back, a son directs a father, and Jack gets left behind. All tonight on Chevron Locked. Hello, and welcome everybody to Chevron Locked, a Stargate-based podcast. My name is BC. Kevin, how are you doing, bud?
I'm doing great.
Nice. Excellent. It's Monday. It's beautiful out here. I'm in a good mood. Let's talk about Stargate.
Fantastic. I'm in.
Yeah. This is episode 20. Tonight we are looking at season 3 episodes, 15, 16, and 17 of season 3, episodes 59, 60, and 61 of the overall show. That would be Pretense, Ergo, and 100 Days. Here's my overall thoughts before we start, Kevin. All right. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
We had one episode, one episode that I fucking loved, one episode that was funnier than hell, and an episode I could have done without.
Really? I didn't watch any of them.
Oh, okay. Heavy one-sided conversation here, fellow listeners.
No, actually, I did like all three of them. I thought they were pretty good.
Good. I'll tell you what, so tonight we are recording this, and then we're actually going to go and record our Stargate SG-1 tabletop game experience. So this one may be a little bit shorter than our normal ones, just so we can get both recorded this evening. So why don't we just go straight into Pretense and take a look here. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right.
Cue Kevin.
So there's a plane crash on some random planet that happens to be infested with Tolan. They decide they're going to hold a trial for some reason to decide who gets to control the body that is obviously being controlled by someone already. They call in SG-1 and the guy that played the Blob in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Deep cut.
And one other chick to play tribunal to see who gets his body in what has to be the weirdest court case ever.
Yes. Dude, good call on the Blob, by the way.
Yeah. Honestly, that's my favorite role he's been in. He's one of those guys that, like, I feel like he's been in everything, and I feel like I see him everywhere. But he's only in, like, I don't know, 20 different things, and most of them I've never seen.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you, because, yeah, you look at him and you're like, oh, I've seen him in, and then you'd have to take a long pause to kind of think about it.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. And my wife and I, we always confuse him with the guy that's in Burn Notice for some reason, because he's got that, like, angular face, weird forehead. Wait. It's like a 5 head where there's just more skin.
You're not talking about fucking Evil Dead.
No.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking
you're talking about the main star of Burn Notice?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's actually from right up the road. He's from Amesbury. So I feel like I know his name. I just can't come up with it right now.
That's all right. And we're not really all that far off topic because Michael Shanks shows up in Burn Notice.
Yes, he does. Oh my God, I love him. It was like season 4 or so.
Yeah, that was a great show, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
That was one of those shows that I stumbled on. I'm like, holy shit, this is actually really good. So, okay, while we're talking about that guy, by the way, when that courtroom scene started, I'm like, is that Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs? Because he had like the eye makeup on and shit. And I'm like, if this motherfucker looks at anybody and says it puts the lotion in the basket, I'm losing it.
Yep. Did look like him. Yeah. He had that weird pulled, stretched skin look.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God. Oh, this show's about to take a different course. I'll start off by saying, I love the episodes that have like a really good, strong opening. Yeah. And this one did.
Yep.
Really good visual effects. I like the episodes that kind of just start with the story. Like he just gives you a good jumping off point type of thing.
Yeah, really, in the middle of things, you're wondering why these two Hatak are attacking one of the gliders, and, he's bang, boom, maneuvering through them. Strong opening. Yeah.
The one thing I will say, those Tolan weapons, man, like, it wasn't that they destroyed the ships. I mean, they obliterated them.
There was no debris.
He turned around to go right back to the planet, and I'm like, there's no debris there.
That's my first note. Yeah, there's nothing.
You completely vaporized everything that was once that ship.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So let's just start firing through notes. What was your next clue there?
So we were just talking about how, what's his name? Kevin Durand. It seems like he's in everything. The other thing about this episode that seemed like it's in everything is the location that they were shooting at, which is, I think it's Simon Fraser University up in, British Columbia, I think it is. That's in like every sci-fi show. It's been in X-Files. It's been in Andromeda. It's been in this. It was in,
really?
Well, yeah, one of the X-Men movies. A whole bunch of different stuff. Basically everything that they shoot in that area that needs, The Flash was one of the other big ones. Anything that they need like a futuristic or clean looking area for, they seem to shoot there because it's just open spaces, angular buildings, like really sci-fi looking.
Oh yeah, no, because it is. It's the architecture there was fucking fantastic, you know?
Yep.
That's awesome. And it's got to be a big enough place that, like, at least watching that show, I didn't feel like I had seen that before necessarily, you know?
Yeah, no, exactly. But this was something, sadly I pay attention to, so.
It's not sadly, man. You catch all that good stuff that I don't. While we're talking about the actual location there, a couple different things. One, so much fucking technology that I really wanted to get into that we didn't get into. Like so much cool, amazing tech, just with the Tolans in general. They're just one of those races that we're going to get, kind of like the Nox, where you just get all this amazing tech with no real explanation or possibly even no further usage of, you know?
Yeah, not a lot of payoff in this episode for a lot of it.
No, but, great episode. One of the best lines, they come through the Stargate, which even before it was addressed, I thought it was weird that as they come through the Stargate, they're fully geared up for like a full-on attack. And I'm like, why are we bringing all the weapons here, guys? And then, of course, you get the payout later when they make all their weapons defunct and not usable at all. But, they come through the Stargate and, Sam, I think it was Sam, looks at him and says, "You built this?" And he's like, "Yeah." And Jackson just goes, "Way smarter." And then Jack just goes, "Ours is bigger."
Yeah.
Like,
typical answers from all three of them.
Yeah. So typical. Like the writing was so good. The other thing I kind of wanted to point out, and I'm going to pull this up right now. This one was directed by, David Worry Smith, who he's done a few, he did Holiday. Damn. He did The Fifth Race though. He did Bane. He's done some great episodes. The direction on this, and maybe not so much the direction, but how they filmed it was done so incredibly well. Like the way they squared up shots and sized up shots.
Yeah, it was a good episode visually. It really was beautiful. Not just locations, but you're right, how they framed everything and sort of how they laid everything out for us to find it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't have been any more happier, to be awesome. Sorry, I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. To be honest with you, like, I liked the idea that we're going to reintroduce Skara. And I thought it was a wonderful concept of them. Basically, you have the Tolan, this indifferent, I guess.
Yeah.
Race that's all, you know, clearly all about laws, apparently, which that wasn't an impression we got during the first introduction of the Tolan, but, it was an interesting concept that they're going to set up a triad or a trial to see who gets the rights to that body, you know. I thought it was a pretty interesting setup. I thought that the payoff was very well done, to be honest with you. But I also felt like when you watch that, when you kind of watch the whole Law and Order part of that, where they were, you know, arguing their sides, did you feel like at any point that Skara wasn't going to come out on top?
Yes, because I think his defense was shit and made very little sense when Skara was talking.
Whose defense was shit? Buffalo
Skara.
Bills?
No,
Skara's.
Because Skara got up there and he's like, you know, if I had been left alone, if I hadn't been infected with this Goa'uld, I would have grown old, married, and died. And it's like, okay, it's been like a year and a half. You wouldn't have grown old and died yet. And I just feel like he wasn't making that clear. Like it was almost like he was asking to die.
Yes, but I also think that he understands that to me, it seems like he understands that is a death sentence, right? That unless he wins this, unless he wins this trial, that in his eyes is a death sentence. And I think in my eyes as well, like that is a death sentence.
Yeah. And not only that, but it's also worse than a death sentence because with the sarcophagus, he can prolong that life. The gold can stay in that host for a lot longer than would be normal. So even if he did live out the normal time span, he'd still be quote unquote young and trapped in his body.
Yeah, that really is a death sentence. But I thought the conversations or the arguments made by both sides were actually pretty well written, pretty well done.
Yeah.
Especially like Buffalo Bill, I'm going to keep calling Buffalo Bill, by the way. Sorry, because I didn't write down his actual name in the show.
Zipacna.
Thank you. I thought when the initial argument started that he made the argument about, or he made the analogy of the livestock, like talking to Skara. Well, did you guys raise animals to be laborers? Did you eat those? Did you skin those? And how he was referencing that is what the Goa'uld do, that as far as they're concerned, they're the dominant species there, so they have the right to that host. I just thought he made some, if you're going to play devil's advocate, he made some good points.
No, it was a good natural building setup to that. It's like you have the argument that he, was property. You have the argument that he was taken and that, animals and all that. It felt like, one of the Halloween episodes in The Simpsons where Lisa finds a cookbook from the aliens and it says how to cook humans. And then they blow off some dust and it says how to cook 4 humans. And then she blows off some more dust and it's how to cook 40 humans. And it just keeps going. Like, I felt like that was this scene.
Yeah. But I guess going back to my previous question though, at any point was the writing strong enough, I guess I should say, that you felt like Skara wasn't going to win the trial, basically? Or did you feel like, because again, I haven't seen these episodes in so long that I was like, is Skara going to lose and like we're going to get Skara back later down the road?
Yeah, that's just it. I don't remember either. So I was looking at this like I had no idea how it came out in the end.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure. I didn't know if he was going to win or not. And there were a couple of times where I doubted it just based on the cold calculating logic. You know what? I'm going to give him logic for this episode. I want to talk more about the Tolan when this is over, but I'm going to give him cold calculating logic for this because I could see them making the argument that having the Goa'uld would be more beneficial to blah, 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 and just kind of getting into something that way. It would extend his life. It would, whatever. We don't want to kill him. I don't know.
And again, though, it would have been the Nox that would have made that decision, though.
Yes.
Not so much the Tolan.
Yeah. But they're the ones to enforce it. Like it's their technology.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Yeah.
Their usage of it. So, it really could have gone either way as far as I'm concerned, especially with the Nox where same thing. They're logical and they have the old man mentality. Like we're young and we don't understand the long view. And so in the long view, maybe having a Goa'uld that is indebted to you is more valuable than having a snake in a box and a kid.
Yep. I completely agree with you. When we found out that the Nox was going to be the third, not Seeker, what was the name for the representation? I can't remember now. There was this, I had it and now it's gone. When we found out that she was going to be the third, party in that, I'm like, oh shit, this really could go 2 different ways now because they could play it as, showing that how truly indifferent the Nox are in terms of how they feel about the Goa'uld. Like, make no mistake, I truly think that they know that the Goa'uld are evil, but they can kind of look past that and make a indifferent opinion on who has the rights to that, So yeah, once the Nox,
they're true pacifists.
Correct. She says that in the show, or it's brought up in the show. Towards the end, Teal'c makes a huge plea to her to help out, because they're convinced that the Goa'uld are going to make this, going to try to attack the planet. And again, she says that, or I think Sam calls her a pacifist, and she's like, I am. All I did was just hide the weapon. You know?
Yeah, that's a bullshit defense.
It is a bit of a bullshit defense, because if you did hide the weapon, in my opinion, if you hid the weapon, little Stewie there. If you hid the weapon, then there has to be some, self-preservation mode that's kicking in for her.
Yeah, you're making a choice. You're making the choice that you're going to kill everyone on that ship.
Exactly. And not only that, what you're telling me is that you think that it's possible that the Goa'uld are planning attack, and you're going for fight or flight. Like you're just wanting to protect yourself, which is fine, but that doesn't make you a pacifist anymore.
No, it's like the Tolan at the beginning, where they're like, oh, they forced us to shoot down those 2 ships. Well, and that's well and good, but you have like 50 of these guns when one of them would do. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why you would waste your effort building 50 of them when one of them will do.
Exactly. At least the Nox try to hide themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like at least they're going with the ostrich head in the sand theory, you know, where they just don't want to be involved in any sort of way. Yep. So they just hide themselves, which I can respect that at least. I may not respect your opinion to be neutral, to be a Sweden in this equation. But yeah, the Tolan, I'm like, you built all those weapons with one that can destroy a ship. You could have just blown up one. If you really felt the need, like you had to protect yourself, you could have blown up one. And I'm pretty sure that's kind of like the warning message. And if they continue to fight, then be like, okay, we tried to warn you, and then go ahead and take out the other one, that type of thing.
Absolutely. But that, you know what, that brings me to the point I wanted to make about the Tolan, or actually the conversation I wanted to have.
Yes.
So they built themselves a Stargate on this planet that didn't have a Stargate when they got here. All right. So I got a bunch of questions about that.
Okay. Well, side note, was it the Nox and the Tolan that built that, or was it just the Tolan that built that?
I believe it was just the Tolan.
Okay. Go ahead then.
And if it was, because I'm pretty sure that that's a thing that comes back later in this series. We'll have to figure that out. But anyway, even so, this is a planet that didn't have a Stargate. Doesn't matter who built it. Why build it when you can just, you can obviously travel through space. Go get one from literally anywhere else and bring it here, and it will just work.
Yes.
And this, I'm so confused about our introduction to the Tolan originally when we rescued the 10 or 12 of them from that lava planet. They were the left behind, everyone else left through the Stargate, and they were there to make sure it got buried. And I don't understand why you'd want to make sure it got buried. Why do you care? And why you couldn't go through. And then once you did, why go through to a planet that has a Stargate and then go somewhere else that doesn't have one and then build one? It seems like if you're going somewhere that doesn't have a Stargate, go there and live in peace. Like live in a cave in the middle, or live in an island, and don't interact with anybody else. If you want to be alone, don't build a Stargate.
Okay. I had the exact same problem, but in a different, you kind of hit on my problem there. So, like you said, when we were first introduced to him, the planet's fucking dying. And what we get from that episode is that most of the Tolan get through the Stargate, and that they were left there to bury it. Like you said, why? Who gives a shit? That's neither here nor there, apparently.
I just figured it out. It's because it was Jigsaw and he was testing all of them.
Well played. Well played. That was actually supposed to be Saw 9. And I think we just spoiled the whole plot.
Ah, damn.
Yeah, but why not? Like, okay, so they get to the point that, two things here. One, did we talk about that in the first Tolan episode? Like, why wouldn't they just dial the gate to that new planet that they went to, that the rest of the Tolan went to? Or two, when they get to the Nox, why not just tell the Nox, hey, clearly we're on the same level of technology here. Our people are, at this point, we just need to get there.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
That was the part that kind of bothered me a little bit. But, I don't know. Unless they're just so egotistical, like the race of them is like, no, we can do this. We can build up a whole new Stargate, you know.
Yep. Maybe.
Just to prove a point.
That's the type of shit I'd do.
And then again, so we haven't seen them in a year, right? I don't know. Let's just say 5 years. Let's just say 5 years in Stargate SG-1 time frame, right? Let's say it's been 5 years. And that society has flourished way too fast for 5 years of time.
Well, to be fair, we don't know if that was already a site for them. That might have been like their alpha site.
Exactly. But to be fair, unless you tell me that, I'm going to make the assumption that you all are fucking like rabbits and just producing a whole new fucking people. Like, you have to lay it out for me.
Through?
Yeah. We don't know. And then really, you're going to risk the cat. Like, you're going to throw a cat through there in hopes that it gets through the iris.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
That's animal cruelty, sir. 101.
Yep.
They're just a cruel species.
At the end, how did Zapachna dial the Stargate to get out? They didn't seem to have DHD.
They didn't. And even if they did have some sort of DHD,
then
we have to assume
DHD.
Exactly.
Yep.
Thank you. That was the last thing in my notes. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm done.
That bothered the shit out of me. I don't know, because clearly he didn't take any transport ring. Well, maybe he did take transport rings, and he's fucking toast now. So we won't have to worry about that.
They said he left through the gate. There was a throwaway line in it where they were like, "Where is he? Was he on the ships?" And they were like, "No, he went through the gate."
Yeah, sure he did. Yeah, I'm so sure he went through the gate. Who wrote that? Who wrote Pretense? Catherine Powers. We need to talk. He did not. Buffalo Bill did not go through the gate. And if he did go through the gate, he ended up in the basement of that house in Silence of the Lambs.
Uh-huh.
Fuck.
You know they're having trouble selling that house. That house has been on the market like 1 million times since that movie came out.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Every time they sell it, it's like for nothing and no one wants it.
I'm surprised like some just film buff hasn't fucking scooped it up or something just to own it, you know?
I think people are terrified of it.
Wow. Well, I mean, the Amityville horror house, people still buy that. I mean, it sells, but yeah, people still fucking purchase that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The only house I think I'd want to own is the Goonies house. But that's just me. So way off topic there. But no, I loved the episode, man. I thoroughly did. I thought it was a great idea to have it on trial.
Yep.
And, so is this the end of Skara or does he show back up?
I don't know. I didn't even check.
Didn't even look. Okay. I guess, you know what? I'm not going to. We'll just make it a pleasant surprise should he reappear in the show.
Perfect.
Let me just double check. Yeah, that was pretty much, we finished up on the same notes. That's funny. So let's move on to Ergo.
All right. So in Ergo, they discover the perfect vacation planet, and the four dress up as if they were going into the middle of the Vancouver woods for some reason, head through the gate, and immediately wind up back in the SGC, finishing their sentence as if nothing had happened to them, and everybody knows that they've been missing forever.
18 hours.
Yep. So little while later, after a physical, they discover that they've got a little thing in their head that starts talking to them in the voice of Itchy the dog from All Dogs Go to Heaven. He reveals himself, and it looks like Dom DeLuise is here to stay.
Yeah. Can I share a quick little story? Because you brought it up.
Of course.
So the very first date I ever went on, quote unquote date, my parents dropped us off to go see All Dogs Go to Heaven in the theater, right? Yeah. Cried like a baby. And it's been a running theme now. I've stopped. I took a girl on a first date to go see The Green Mile when it was in theaters. Cried like a baby. So from that point forward, I no longer allow first dates to go to movies.
That's awesome.
You never know, man. Yeah. Pardon me. This is an episode that I have the least amount of notes on, only because it's a comedy relief episode, and it worked like that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch this episode. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, it was so funny. It was so well written, and the late and great Dom DeLuise, man.
Yeah.
Just fantastic in that role.
Oh, and I believe this was directed by Peter, wasn't it?
It absolutely was. Yep.
Yeah. You could tell. So he was actually in the episode too, Peter, as one of the unnamed airmen in the background. And that means 2 of the 4 DeLuise boys were in this episode. We get the other 2 later in the run of Stargate.
Oh, we do?
We do. Not to ruin anything, but I'll point them out when they pop up.
Okay.
Yeah, but one of them is one of my favorite characters from anything ever.
Oh.
That'd be Michael DeLuise.
Now I'm going to have to force myself not to look it up.
There you go.
Yeah, that's easy. And this was Peter DeLuise's, was this his second appearance in the show?
I know it was at least his second.
Because we saw him once. We saw him once behind the gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he puts himself in just about every episode he directs.
Okay, good for him though. Little Kevin Smith in him.
Yeah,
you know. No, I mean, I truly, man, I don't really have much of anything written down just because it was such a fun episode just to kick back and watch. Like, the writing was done incredibly well. The acting was fantastic, and it was a fun little story. Like, if you have to have these standalone episodes, these are the type of standalone episodes I enjoy, because I can just sit back and enjoy them for what they are.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like we get, what is it? Oh, Mary Steenburgen. They mentioned Mary Steenburgen's name.
Yes.
And that's one thing I remember from my previous watch through. Like, I couldn't tell you if Skara comes back, but I can tell you that Mary Steenburgen is a repeated joke in this show.
Oh, now see, that's the first time I've caught it so far.
Yeah, well, this is the first mention of it. And,
okay.
They mentioned it a couple of other times because for some reason Richard Dean Anderson was, I don't want to say obsessed, but he actually had her voice on his voicemail as if it was her phone. So if people called him and left him a voicemail, it would be Mary Steenburgen's voicemail answering it because he was just wacky. And so that kind of carried over whenever he had to ad lib a line in Stargate. For some reason, he'd pull her name in because he thought it was like this funny juxtaposition of someone famous that he didn't know and kind of pretending that his character on the show knew her or was obsessed with her.
See, I would have loved to known Richard Dean. I say that as if he's dead. He's not dead, people.
He's not?
No. Yeah, I know. Not, well, according to Reddit a couple months ago, he was, but he is alive and well. Man, I would have loved to, the chance to hang out with him. He just seems like a very comical, funny, shitbag of a human being. And I say shitbag in the best possible way. I don't say that like it being an asshole.
Definitely.
He just seems like he's constantly just wants to make jokes and stuff like that.
For our final episode of this podcast, we're going to show up at his house.
Announced or unannounced? Because I think there's only one way to do that.
Oh, unannounced. I didn't mean we're waiting until the last episode. I mean, we're just going to do that, and then they will never let us do this episode again.
That's true. It will be the last episode because we're gonna be busy in court for a little while. That's all. No, man, I wanted to take notes, but it was just a fun topic. It was just a fun episode. We find out that Ergo is defective. His creator, Togar, the whole idea was that he created Ergo so that he didn't actually have to go visit places himself. And we get the kind of idea that he's scared or, recluse, if you will. And, he's defective. And then they convince him, they being Sam and Daniel, that they convince him that he could potentially be alive. Like he meets, I don't know, in my opinion, I don't know if he met all the criteria for being a life form, but it was what it was. And it was a cute episode.
He's an intelligence. I'll give them that. He wasn't life, but they make wacky arguments. They have a lot of leeway, a lot of slack with the terms that they use.
Yes.
Another instance of that in this episode was when they used the electron resonance scan, which on its own is not a thing. And if it were, you'd have to cryogenically freeze them to be able to use it. So doing that scan would have killed them, and they would not be able to find the little device in their head.
See, just liberties. That's all. Is there an episode of Stargate where Teal'c does shock himself with the paddles? Because here's the thing, right? Somewhere in my memory, I have this fucking scene playing out where Teal'c accidentally or on purpose shocks himself with fucking defib paddles.
God, I hope so. I thought we were getting that this episode.
I did too, man. Cause I figured, they're going to give it to Teal'c because his symbiote, he's the only one out of the four of them that can take the blast, And I was like, do it. And then he didn't. I was like, oh, damn, I could have sworn up and down he actually did that.
I laughed so hard when he stood up and walked towards the paddle.
Yes. See, and again, great writing, great fucking episode, man. It really was. It was so much fun. It was so much fun to watch.
I think this was the first time too that we really got to look at Janet's office on base too.
Yes.
And we see her sitting at her desk and she's got the bank of monitors looking in on the rooms with the SG-1 in them. And for some reason those monitors were blocking the only window in the room and they had sound.
Ooh.
And I don't understand why any of that, really. I mean, those monitors seemed really out of place, and it didn't look like they were on some cart that you could wheel around. It looked like they were built blocking the windows to her office.
Yeah. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Part of the problem there, I'm going to be honest with you. Part of the problem there is when she does come on screen, I'm kind of landlocked right at her. You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough. I hear you.
She's a little easy on the eyes, you know?
Yeah.
And she's a great character.
Yeah.
She is absolutely a great character. Don't get me wrong. She's just a fantastic character. She's incredibly well written, and she's a hell of an actress.
Yeah.
So she's a bit of a scene stealer for me whenever we get a Frasier episode.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
So, my final thing I'll say about this is the type of episode that I would recommend to people. Like, if somebody wanted to watch like 3 or 4 episodes to get into SG-1, this is one of those episodes because it doesn't give anything away of the overall story. And I think it represents a lot of the humor that the show can have.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
My final thought on this was when I'm like writing code for a website or something, I can't even remember to put a semicolon or to close any of my variables or anything. So I would never want to put software I had written in my brain. And I think that was the bravest thing I've ever seen anyone do.
Oh, that was very brave. Oh, God, man. I don't know if we get any more Dom DeLuise episodes, but man, what a great comedic actor, man. And I'm so glad that his son Peter got him to do an episode, at least one episode. You know, like I said, I don't know if he shows up anymore, but that was fucking awesome. So
I don't think he does. I'm pretty sure this was a one-off.
That was just a one-off.
Yeah.
That's okay, man. It worked. He fucking nailed it out of the park.
Yeah. So, actually, that was one other thing is that was, Peter DeLuise in the younger version of Ergo. That's what it was.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, because Ergo says, "Oh, would you maybe if I looked like this or something like that," and he flashes into the Peter DeLuise, you know. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, let's move on to 100 Days.
All right. So, in 100 days, the gang is chilling on a planet with some random people, and Jack is really digging this one girl. And then there's a meteor shower that makes Sam uncomfortable. So they pack up everyone that believes them, kidnap most of them, go through the Stargate, and get cut off, leaving Jack alone to tend the farm in more ways than one.
Yeah. There was a euphemism there, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't think it was subtle.
Okay. Fair enough. So this is going to be one, I do have some notes about this episode. I wasn't a big fan of it though.
No.
To be honest with you.
I have one note, and it comes down to when Janet asked Sam, "Do you miss him? And is this going to be a problem?" And I'm not going to lie, like I just don't know who she's talking about. Because they were talking about the Tolan and Jack and Daniel, and it lost me.
Yeah. So I guess that was something we failed to bring up on Pretense, was that you did kind of have that moment with, I can't remember his name now, with the Tolan, Nareem. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
With Nareem and Carter, you do kind of have that moment halfway through the episode where Nareem basically is, hitting on her and saying, "Hey, why haven't we hooked up or dated yet?" And she has to explain why, but you're right. That comes almost full circle to that Frasier comment,
Yeah. And like
it absolutely does.
Part of why it confused me was that in this episode, at the end, when you see Jack interacting with, I don't even remember the girl's name that he was trying to knock up.
Yeah, I've got nothing on her.
But Sam has this look of like jealousy when she's looking at them. And it's like, did her heart break, or is this just that he interrupted her when she was given a scientific explanation?
See, and I think that's kind of the problem I have with this. I don't want to say with the show, with that particular dynamic, is that they're going to tiptoe around it. It's never going to be fully brought up, but they tiptoe around it enough that I feel like it should be addressed.
Yep.
Like it's one thing if you just throw out some subtlety here and there, but there are times that it seems like it's very heavy-handed, the relationship or the possible relationship between Carter and Jack. And this was one of those times.
Yeah, no, and they always seem to do it in weird ways. Like, if you're gonna do it, do it. If you're not gonna do it, don't do it. I do hate shows when they do get together, like they have that will they, won't they, and then they put them together and they're like, oh, we fucked up, and they take it back.
Yes.
You know, like I know a lot of people, I don't know if anybody watches Arrow, but I know a lot of people don't like Felicity. I happen to like Felicity. I don't like CW's drama, but I liked the relationship. And when they broke them up, I haven't watched it since. And I just wish they either hadn't gotten together or hadn't broken them apart.
And maybe that was what the writers and the producers were kind of afraid of with because you're looking at season 3 at this point, right? So the show's gotten some traction.
Yep.
And you really do, and I'll give them credit, you really do have to start worrying about where the story goes if you put them together. Because it does change the dynamic of the team. It changes the dynamic of the show a little bit. And again, I can respect the fact that you don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Then just fucking let it be until you know. You know?
Yeah.
Don't pepper it in there every fucking 10 episodes or so, you know, and don't be like, oh, look, I think she likes him or I think he likes her, you know.
Apophis is really dead, everyone. He's never coming back.
Exactly, bud. Same concept. Like, just, I don't know.
Yeah.
So there are also times though that it feels like it's being forced. At least this one didn't feel as forced as some of the other, relationship cues we've gotten from them.
Sure.
But yeah. So, I guess my problem with this whole episode is that one, I didn't find it entertaining at all. Like there was really nothing entertaining about it. And then I just think that the love interest on the show, whatever her name was, well, let's just call her Susan because Susan tends to fuck everything up in life. Susan. It's fucking Susan. That Susan was kind of a bitch. Like there were a lot of key things there where, you know, like, after they're buried, after the Stargate's buried, they're waking up in the morning. She comes out and she gives Jack a shirt from her dead husband that she made for him. Yep. Weird enough. And it was just forced on her. Like, she's like, okay, you got to get out in the fields now. And I'm like, damn, like the guy just got cut off from everything he knows and loves. Seriously. Can you give him a fucking minute? Like, girl,
you need some chill.
The motherfucker just woke up. Like, you are literally like hammering him at the worst possible time of the day, you know?
Daylight's wasting.
Yeah, no shit. And then, you know
what though?
I'm sorry.
He is the ultimate immigrant labor because there is no way he's going home. He came from the furthest distance.
And he's got no representation on that planet.
Nothing. No, you know, I thought this episode was good ideas. I think that it wasn't the best executed I've seen. I would have loved to see Teal'c pull himself through the Stargate and up to the roof of that. Instead, we saw him shoot the grappling hook through the gate, and then the next scene, he's just hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Because this was a great idea. This really explores more of the idea of turning the Stargate up so that if someone does attack, when they come through, they're just going to fall right back into the event horizon and be destroyed.
Yes.
You know, and we lost, what was it? At least two Malps to this. And those things are like $3 million each, according to something I read. So that's like $6 million just seeing if we can get Jack back.
Yeah. But again, okay, another good thing I'll say, speaking of that, is that I think it goes to Teal'c's character though, that, Carter and Hammond were having a conversation and Carter mentioned that she thinks there's a way that they can blast it with particles and open it up a little bit. Yep. And Hammond says, well, we don't even have to ask Teal'c if he'll do this, you know? And it speaks volumes about Teal'c's character on the show that Teal'c would have died. Like there was no fucks given, you know?
Nope. Zero.
So that I'm all on board. The whole idea, and correct me if I'm wrong, the whole idea was that they visited that planet looking for Naquadah. Or they visited the planet and found out the planet was rich in Naquadah.
Yeah, I think it was rich in Naquadah because it kept getting bombarded by the asteroids.
By the asteroids, yes.
Yeah, so I mean that's going to be some nice free Naquadah right on the ground because it destroyed the Stargate.
Yes. The only other note I had was about the kid Garen, which was that Susan's son?
Yes.
I think. Okay. So Susan's son, and seeing how Susan always fucks shit up, it's gotta be her son.
Fucking Susan.
So Garen, which was, you know what? I actually wrote that down because we were talking about it right before we started fucking recording, and then I didn't write it down. So Garen is Susan's son, and, this kid, I swear, has shown up. Okay, going back to your previous statement, I feel like I've seen this kid in every fucking thing ever through the 90s. Shane Meyer is his name. I feel like I've seen the kid everywhere, and then I looked up his Internet Movie Database, and he hasn't really done as much as I thought he had. A couple of movies here and there. But the whole episode comes down to the fact that Daniel showed this kid Garen these caves and made one off-the-cuff remark about, maybe this is where your ancestors went to hide. Or Tilk did. I'm sorry. It was Tilk that made that comment. And, of course, Garen runs and fucks the whole fucking shit up.
Yeah, that was like the dumbest motivation for anybody. He just wanted to get laid. Like, he was like, all right, new Adam and Eve.
Here we go. We're colonizing this shit again.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It was just, and then you had there were so many just fucking archetypes in this fucking episode. Then you had the old guy archetype that was fishing off the bridge that was like, you just want our land, you know, like these fucking falling rocks out of the skies aren't going to kill us. You just want our land. And of course one blows up like right behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course him and Jack become BFF and they're getting drunk together and shit. Like there was just a couple of parts that I was just like, okay, we're done. Like we are fucking done. But, yeah, and then Susan wants to throw all of Jack's clothes away because you're just trying to, I don't know, like, fuck it, I guess.
Yeah, and then his pants start talking to her and she waits like a day and a half to tell him.
No, the best part. So they're sitting around having dinner and, she's got that look on her face like she wants to tell him, but she doesn't want to tell him. And then she finally tells him and she goes, the other day when I was going to go throw away your clothes, she goes, this thing was making noises. I think it was voices. Bitch, you know it was voices. Like, it was clear as day.
You understood them.
Yeah. Come on. I think it was voices.
And then he's out there and he's digging for Teal'c. And she's standing there and she gives him a look like you're going to leave. And he stops digging for Teal'c. And it's like, okay, no. Rescue him and then you two can hash this out. He's going to die. You know, whatever. Just do it.
No. His relationship with Teal'c should mean way more to him than his fucking fling that he's had for the last, what? We'll give it say 3 weeks that he's been on that fucking planet.
It's 100 days.
Oh, Jesus. No, it's not 100. Okay, look. If it's 100 days, I would be upset.
It's 100 days.
He was on that planet for 100 days?
I'm pretty sure that the whole point of it was that like that was the 100-day mark where like or after the 100-day mark where she's like, okay, you've had your grieving period. She grieved for 100 days. You've had 100 days. Let's get it on. I need you to put a baby in me.
I just, God damn it. I just thought they went with the 100 days because that was a story that she told him. Like, you know, I grieved for my husband for 100 days. And she and Jack was like, what then? And she goes, I left my house and I started talking to people. And I'm like, fuck off, Susan.
Cute story, Susan. Jesus.
Yeah. Christ. Yeah. You're just trying to trap Jack. Don't give me that shit.
Yep.
But I will absolutely agree with you that, I thought it could have been a very clever concept that just didn't roll out that way.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah. Any other final thoughts about that episode or anything we talked about tonight?
I took no notes on that.
Yeah, I didn't really either, man. Like I said, but that's so weird that neither one of us really took a whole lot of notes on 100 Days. Neither one of us took any notes on Ergo, but for completely different reasons.
Yep.
Because Ergo, you could just sit back and enjoy the episode for what it was. You know?
I mean, most of my notes in Ergo were addressed in the episode. So it didn't even come up. Like there was the awkward airman sitting behind Jack watching him eat pie. And then they're guarding Jack. Like that's fine.
Yeah. Because you didn't know that at first.
No, not at first.
Yeah. You just thought he was some creepy dude watching him fucking stuff his face with pie.
Right.
Oh, God. That was such a good scene too, by the way, when when the other three show up in the mess hall and Jack's got that table full of fucking Jello and fucking pie and shit. So yeah, that was episode 20, boys and girls. So next week we are looking at 50 Shades of Grey. Although I think the episode's just called Shades of Grey. Shades of Grey, New Ground, and Maternal Instinct. And we are approaching the end of season 3. So the week after that, we are actually going to be ending season 3 already. It's crazy. So much fun stuff. So much fun stuff. So yeah, Shades of Grey, New Ground, Maternal Instinct. We are going to end this here, and then we are going to get with some of our listeners and record a fun little episode. So both episodes will be available this week, and we appreciate everything. We appreciate all the feedback on Twitter and on Reddit and everything you guys have to say about the show. I know I take it all to heart. Even the bad stuff, I may not change the way I do things, but I appreciate you at least getting a hold of me, you know?
Yeah, thanks for the interactions. It's wonderful.
Feed me your opinion, you know? Like, I'm not going to I'll call Kevin an asshole for you, but if you got something to say against Kevin, you go through me, I'll call it for you. Don't worry.
Ha, love it.
All right, thanks for everybody. Show notes are in the description, and everybody have a great night.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Chevron Locked. As always, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook at Chevron Podcast, emailing us at thechevronlocked@gmail.com, or join us on our subreddit at Chevron Locked.